It's time to chat every single book I've read this year so far. That's right, it's time for my mid-year reading wrap-up. Let's get into it. This is a non-spoiler vlog. Get me out of that reading slump. You might not like this book. Why are you laughing? Who's making you giggle like that? Prepare to have your heart broken at the tragedy of the ending. Hello my friends, welcome to my channel Discover with Kim. I'm Kim, I'm so excited you're here with me today. Welcome to this week's book chat vlog. This week we are going to be talking all about the books that I have read this year so far. So it is my mid-year reading wrap-up. We're going to be chatting every single book I've read this year so far, what I thought of the book, quick little synopsis of it, and whether or not I'd recommend it. Plus, who I would recommend it to. And then we'll move on to the next one. So that is the plan. I have read 39 books so far this year. It would have been perfect if it was 40, but alas, it is 39. So I've read 39 books so far this year. So let's go chat all those 39 books. In order to keep this organized, my game plan is to simply review the books in the order in which I've read them this year. So I'll start with the first book I read in January, and then I'll just run through every single book until I get to my most recent reads. I have them all listed here in my phone, so if you see me looking at my phone, it's just because I'm looking at whatever book is next. So let's start with the first book. The first book I read in 2025 was The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This book is a cozy fantasy book. It follows our main character, who is a librarian, and she works with her assistant Kaz, who is a magical spider plant. While working at the library, a revolution begins and she is forced to flee, so she grabs as many of the important books as she can. She grabs Kaz and they flee on a boat back to the island where her parents came from. Now when she gets to this island, she tries to kind of just blend in and disappear up into their old house, but she ends up making some friends, making some found family, helping out the villagers, and really having quite the adventure. This is a really fun, cozy, and sweet fantasy, and I really enjoyed this one. They are available with pretty purple sprayed edges, so you can see, and I think that this book is honestly, it's good for anyone, and it's good for basically any time of the year. With fall coming up, I think that the Spell Shop might be fun for fall time, because like as it's getting colder and as you start to like bundle up and stuff, I think reading a cozy fantasy is kind of exactly what I would want. So I think it would be great for the fall time, but I also think that it's great at any time of year. This book I would definitely recommend. I actually have already recommended it to many people. I've recommended it to my sister. I've recommended it to my mom. My sister loved it. My mom is currently reading it, so hopefully she loves it as well. But this book is definitely amazing. That was the first book I read so far this year, The Spell Shop. I started the year on quite a fantasy note because the next book I've read was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book is about our main character who works as an assassin for a rebellion group. A rival bounty hunter arrives in her city and turns her world upside down, and she ends up imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles, which is a group of powerful fae who turn her into a political statement. Our main male character, Khan, he was crushed by his great love, and he took the head of the king and donned the melted crown. He's now on a quest to ebb the ache in his chest, and a clue lures him into the capital's high-security prison, where he stumbles upon our main female character. Echoes of the past race between them. There's more to the story than meets the eye, but some truths are too poisonous to swallow. So this book, I really enjoyed the world building in this book. I think that the world and that was really fun. I enjoyed the storyline. There was dragons in this book. I love dragons, so of course I enjoyed the dragons. And I really liked many of our characters. I think they were great, and I think they were well written, and I think that the dynamics between them definitely made you interested and want more. But I feel like this might be a mixed opinion here, but this book left me wanting more. I feel like it was building and building, and I was so excited for what it was building, and then I feel like it just didn't ever reach that peak. It kind of just like stopped and like trickled off and left me kind of disappointed. Now I did read this book many months ago, so I do plan on reading the next one when it comes out next year, so I will probably reread this one before that. I think that maybe if I reread it, I did enjoy this book. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but I think that I would like it a little bit better if I reread it, and then hopefully the next one will like give me that more that I was wanting, because like I said, it was building and like I knew where I was going, and it was like I don't know, I feel like the storyline was kind of pretty obvious, and I was kind of like waiting for it, and like things kind of started to happen, but like I was just left disappointed with it. But I did enjoy it, and I do plan to read the sequel. And I do think that if you are into fantasy novels, and if you like dragons, and if you like fantasy novels that have like big world building and intense storylines, I do think that you would enjoy this. I do think that this is a book for you, and I would recommend it. And I've heard that many people really, really enjoyed it. It's just like I said, the only issue for me was that I was a little disappointed because I was just left wanting more. Like that's the only way I can explain it, is I wanted more. So after those two fantasy novels, I was like, I need a little bit of a palate cleanser. So I read a nonfiction book, Dinner for Vampires, Life on a Cult TV Show by Bethany Joy Lenz. So this was written by, if you guys ever watched One Tree Hill, she played Haley on One Tree Hill. Absolutely loved her. So she wrote this book. It's an autobiography about her life. It's about her life on the TV show, her life as an actress, and her life in an actual religious cult. So it's really interesting. It has a bunch of different aspects to it. It's a pretty quick read. It didn't take me very long to read it, and I thought it was fun. Honestly, I love reading autobiographies, so I just think it's interesting to learn about other people's lives and the things they've gone through and what they've learned from it, and just to see like how everybody kind of goes through those struggles and through some different things. Like not everybody joins a cult, that's for sure. But I definitely enjoyed this book, and I think that if you liked One Tree Hill, if you like movies or TV shows or actresses, or if you like cults, I think that this would be a fun read for you, and I would recommend it. Another nonfiction book is next. So this one was one of my morning books. So in the morning when I get up, I like to read nonfiction to kind of help wake me up, whether it be poetry, whether it be something that is like educational, or whether it be like self-help, anything like that. Not necessarily self-help, but like that I guess would be the category you would look into, but it would be kind of like just educational stuff. But anyways, I digress. This was one of my morning books, and I finished it up. I believe it was in February, January, but it's called The Secret Life of Trees: What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Secret World by Peter Wolleben. And this was really fun and interesting. I am a big hiker. I love nature, so learning about trees and forests and how they communicate, how they survive, how they deal with disease and nature, natural disasters, how they deal with like animals and bugs, all that kind of stuff, how they reproduce, how they grow forests, everything. This book kind of deals all of that, and I thought it was really fun and really interesting, and I enjoyed it. It's a nonfiction book about trees. I feel like that's pretty niche, but if you're into science and trees and that kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend it. Next up was my first mystery thriller book of the year, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. So I've read other books by Alice Feeney before, and I enjoyed them, so I was like, might as well give this one a try. It was from Book of the Month, as you can see. In this book, our male main character, he is an author, and he is having the best day of his life because she finally gets big news that he was hoping for, and he calls his wife Abby to share the news, and she's driving home, and while they're on the phone, she sees someone laying in the middle of the road, so she gets out, keeping the phone on speaker, to go and check out what's happening, and disappears. Grady goes, finds the car, his wife's not there. So now the book starts, well, it starts with that, but then the real storyline starts a year later. He's still overcome with grief, and he's desperate to know what happened to her, so he's in a big writer's slump, he can't sleep, so he decides to travel to a tiny remote Scottish island to get his life back on track and to try to help beat his writer's slump. And while he's there, he sees a woman who looks exactly like his wife. So I thought, wow, that's a really fun and interesting premise. I think it's going to be fun, I think it's going to be interesting, and I wanted something a little bit different because I'd already been reading like fantasy and nonfiction a lot this year. So I picked this book up, and I would say that I enjoyed it, but I did not love it. I think that it was kind of predictable. I kind of saw where it was going kind of early on. I was like, I wonder. I had a couple different suspects, but I wondered, and then I feel like the ending, how it all tied up, like, was interesting and fun, and I did enjoy that. And I think that if you like mystery thrillers, you would enjoy this book. But I do think that it was a little bit predictable. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but I did think it was fun. And like I said, if you like mystery thrillers, I would recommend it. I think it would be great for maybe like, I don't know, I want to say summertime because it takes place on an island, but I feel like any time of year you could read it. it's interesting to hear about the main character because he's an author, and it's interesting to kind of see what he goes through and if he's like debating if he's going crazy or not. So I kind of like the like psychological part of it as well. But yeah, it was medium. That would be my review. So I haven't given you guys the ratings on any of these books because I rate all my books in Fable, but I can't remember what I rated any of them. I could give you a guesstimation, but I can't remember for sure. So that's why there's no ratings. There's kind of just like synopsis, thoughts, recommendation. Now, next up, a book that I was very much anticipating for this year, and I was so excited to read, and I think a lot of you were too. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the third in the Fourth Wing series. Brave the Dark, it says. So yes, this is the third in the Fourth Wing series. Fourth Wing series is, of course, a fantasy novel about dragons and a war college. I can't tell you too much about this book because I obviously don't want to spoil it for you if you have not read the first one or two, or if you've even not read this one. I don't want to tell you too much about the plot because, like I said, I don't want to spoil the first two books for you. This is a non-spoiler vlog. But I do want to say that I really enjoyed this book. Look at the dragons. I'm sorry. Just look at the dragons. I love the dragons. I love dragons so much. I did enjoy this book. I would say it was fun. I liked the storyline. I liked the plot. I liked that it was a little bit different than the first two. I liked the stuff we did, but I feel like I thought it was going to be a 5-star, and it was like a 4.5 out of 5-star. So it's still really good. I really enjoyed it, but like there's just some of it that like felt like it dragged on a little bit. Some of it that felt a little bit like meh, and like I feel like I just wanted, I don't know, again, I just wanted a little bit more from this book. I thought it was really good and I really did enjoy it, but if I compare it to like the first and second book, I'd say the first book is my favorite, the second book is my second favorite, and then this would be third in line. But I think that's pretty normal in a series. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I'm excited for the next book. The ending was a big like again, like after the second one, there's every book has a big like plot twist ending, but like I enjoyed the ending. I thought it was fun. Everyone was like kind of like whoo about the ending. I didn't think it was like crazy. I feel like the ending of like the second one was the craziest to me. The first one I saw coming. The second one I feel like the ending was the craziest, and then this one I feel like should have seen coming. Kind of saw it coming. I mean, didn't like see coming, but like I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. Obviously, if you like dragons, if you like fantasy, if you like romantasy, if you like the Fourth Wing series, read it. I do highly recommend it, and I really enjoyed it. Next up, I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is a young adult romance book. It is about Valentine's Day. Our main character, she gets in a car accident on her way to school, and she ends up in a groundhog like Valentine's Day where she keeps living the same day over and over and over again. And the thing is, it is the absolute worst day of her life. It is terrible. Bad things keep happening over and over and over again, and she's thinking every time she wakes up maybe she can prevent them, but they continue to happen to her, and it's just terrible. And she keeps also running into this really annoying guy who is the guy she is in a car accident with. He keeps running into her and being part of her day, and she's just like, what can I do? How can I fix this? How can I get out of this Groundhog Day loop? Valentine's Day loop though, and I thought it was really, really fun. It was really, really cute. I love the romance. It is young adult, so it's no spice, but very, very sweet, so giggly. Like Lynn Painter, this was my first Lynn Painter, and I was giggling at the storyline. I read it, and I immediately went and bought other books by her because it was just so good and so cute, and I was like, oh my gosh, like literally I was giggling at this book. Giggling because it was so cute. Like, that's the kind of romance that I love, and the kind of like light and fluffy that sometimes I just need. So if you love light and fluffy romance, if you like sweet romance, if you like humor in books, I would highly recommend The Do-Over and any of the other Lynn Painter books I've read, which will be coming up because I've read them all this year. After that, this was actually another morning book. It was Volume 0, Issue 5. This is the short stories that I get from my book of the month every other month. It just has 7 short stories in here, so I use it as like my morning reading for a fun little change of pace from like a nonfiction book or poetry. I do this because they're just fun short stories, sometimes very weird short stories. So I read through this one. It was Issue 5. It was decent. It was actually pretty strange. Not the strangest, but pretty strange. But anyways, if you have book of the month, I would recommend checking out their short story add-on because I really enjoy it. So as I said, I read that first Lynn Painter book and I loved it. So then I read another one. This one is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This one has some pretty edges as well, and this one is much fatter than the first one. This is about our main character. She meets Charlie, so Bailey, our female main character, meets Charlie, the male main character, and he's just the worst. She meets him in the middle, basically, of her parents' divorce, and he is just terrible. They meet in an airplane, and he is just so frustrating, and she basically dislikes him. So then years later, she starts a new job, and guess who her new coworker is? That's right, it's Charlie. So they end up being coworkers, they end up becoming friends, and they end up watching two of their coworkers flirt with each other, which brings on a bet between them whether members of the opposite sex can be just friends. Charlie thinks they can't, Bailey believes that they can, so they decide that we're gonna make a bet on it. They end up hanging out a lot and becoming really good friends, and they end up fake dating to help with their little agenda. Basically, it's a really, really cute romance. It is fat, but since it's a young adult romance again, it flies by. Like, it really does. It just flies by, and it's wonderful. I, again, was giggling at it. I thought it was really fun. I loved all the characters, and I would recommend it. After that, I swung back around to my fantasy era, and I read The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Penaranda. Maybe. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This one is a fantasy. It's a nightfall novel. It is number 1 in the series. It is about, it says, the brightest star needs the darkest night. So it is about our female main character. She is a prisoner in her own mind, and she cannot remember what happened in the past, so she has no memories, but she's on a quest to try and find out what happened. And it leads her to the Libertatum, which is a succession of trials hosted by the king in which 5 human lands compete for a cycle of safety from the vampire seeking blood, claiming souls, and savaging after dark. She wins the Libertatum, but it's still not enough to keep her safe from the vampires, so she makes a bargain with the beautiful and deadly knight who stalks her dreams and haunts her waking hours. He promises to keep her safe, but she knows she cannot trust him, cannot trust his lies, even as she finds herself drawn deeper and deeper into his seductive embrace. So that is kind of a little synopsis of the book. I had to read it because I really didn't know how to explain this book. This book I enjoyed, but I don't know if it was just when I read it and the mood I was in or what, but it felt dense and heavy. Not heavy in like content wise, like it wasn't like the content was heavy, it's like just like the whole book and storyline just felt dense and heavy, and it took me a long time to get through it. Like, I felt kind of like a slog through it. I did enjoy the storyline and I liked it, and I have the second one and I plan to read it, but it just felt like a fighting battle getting through this book is the only way I can put it. Which is funny because I enjoyed the storyline and I enjoyed the book, but just something about it, it was just so hard for me to get through it. Like I said, it could have just been my mood since I am a mood reader, but it was just so hard to get through it. But it was a fun fantasy novel. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the world building, I enjoyed like what they had to go through. I would say that some of it's predictable. Like, I kind of saw some of the things that were going to happen. Like, I saw them happening. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I see all of this happening. Some of them, there were a couple twists that I was shocked about, I will say, which I enjoyed. And I feel like this book, the more that I talk about it, the more I just think of all the different things that happened. And now I understand why I say it was so dense, because I feel like they just jam-pack a lot of information into this book. And I don't know, just even the pages just look like they're just like jam-packed with words. So yeah, enjoy this book. If you like fantasy novels, I would definitely say that you should give it a try, but just know that it is very dense. And yeah, I tried to start the second book after it because I was like, let's just keep going with the storyline, but I couldn't. Like, after this one, I like almost fell really deep. Actually, I did fall into a book slump, and I only got out of it through like romance novel heaven. But this one, yeah, it was dense, it was good, enjoyed the fantasy, romantic storyline, liked the characters, took forever to get through. Let me know if you guys think the same thing if you've read this, because that's just my thoughts. But yeah, I tried to start the second one, couldn't do it, because it was the whole pushing me into reading something, so I plan to read it eventually, but so far I've only read this one. So like I said, after that I fell into a reading slump, and the only way I got out of it was basically like fluffy book heaven. So I'm about to dig into a bunch of like fluffy romances and stuff that I used to get me out of that reading slump. First off was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is a romance novel. It is a college romance. It is between a competitive diver and an ace swimmer, and they jump into a forbidden waters romance in the steamy college novel. And I enjoyed it for the most part. I agree with, I don't know if you've seen other reviews of this book, but a lot of people say that like there's a third character who's supposed to be a side character, but she is so much a part of the storyline that it gets very, very annoying. I did not like that part of the plot. I did not like that character at all. I feel like they were trying to set up for her own novel, which is fine, but I did not like her at all. She was very, very annoying. Not my kind of character. So that part of the plot I disliked, but I am the kind of person where I can compartmentalize things in my brain. So I kind of compartmentalize that as something I just disliked about the story, and then I pull out the romance part of the story between the two actual main characters. And if I think just about that part of the storyline, I enjoyed it for the most part. The female main character kind of annoyed me a bit with the fact that she didn't have a backbone. I'll just say it that way. She basically didn't have a backbone, but I liked their romance and I thought it was fun. This one was advertised as super, super spicy, and I'd say it was only like medium spicy. Like, they acted like it was going to be so spicy and they were going to do all this BDSM stuff, and they really didn't do anything that was too crazy. So that was a little bit like, I would say it was a disappointment in like the fact that I thought it was going to be spicier and it wasn't. I expected a lot more to that part of the storyline and it wasn't there. If I didn't think that that was going to happen, I wouldn't care, but the fact that like it seemed like it was building up to it and then it didn't happen was a bit disappointing. But I liked the romance and the storyline of this. I liked the college romance. I thought it was fun and fluffy and spicy and a quick read. Another morning book for me was The Pivot Year. It says 365 Days to Become the Person You Truly Want to Be by Brianna Weist? Not sure. But this one is 365 days of prompts that you just read one prompt every single morning. So I finished it this year. I really enjoyed it. If you just want a little synopsis, like a little literally paragraph for the most part, to read every single morning, like when you wake up, you don't have to read it in the morning. You read it at any point of the day. Like I said, I like reading them in the morning to like start my brain on a good note. But if you just want a little like inspirational paragraph to read every single day, I definitely recommend this because I think it gives you some good insights, some good things to think about, like some good food for thoughts, and I just really enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend this if that's something you're into. Next up, I read The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This is a novel about ice dancers. It follows them throughout their life from when they're kids and they kind of get into ice dancing. It's between like our female main character and then her male main partner, and then there's a couple other kind of ish side main characters, but it follows them from when they're young all the way up through like trying to get to the Olympics, dealing with crazy like ice dancing politics and romances and blah 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 blah. So it was really interesting and I thought it was really fun, but I kind of hated every single character. Like I feel like to make the storyline work and to make it show like what ice dancers are like and what it takes to be an ice dancer and maybe what it does to your personality, I think that it makes sense, but I kind of hated every single character. Like there were so many times where they could have like redeemed themselves and like made better decisions and they just didn't, and it drove me crazy. But I loved the ice dancing part of it. I thought that was so fun. I loved learning about like the politics of it and all the different parts of the world and how like if you were rich and part of it, how different it was versus if you were like poor and just trying to force yourself through. And I really enjoyed all of that, and I thought that was really, really fun and interesting, but I did kind of hate all the main characters and a lot of the decisions they made. So would I recommend this book? Maybe. I would say maybe. I think that for ice dancing, and I think that if you want to learn about that, or if you like unlikable characters, definitely go for it. Yes. I think maybe it'd be fun for like the winter time because it's like ice dancing and the Olympics and stuff. So that would also be a great time for me to recommend it. But if you're just like casually thinking about picking up this book, I'm not sure, because if you don't like unlikable characters, you might not like this book. After that, I decided to throw in a thriller because I'd read several romances in a row. So I read A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. This is a thriller mystery. It's about our female main character. She meets Connor, who is our male main character. He is wealthy, charming. He's part of the powerful Dalton family. She falls in love with him. So 6 months later, he decides to bring her with him to Idlewood, which is his family's isolated winter retreat, to hopefully win over his relatives and show him like they love each other. When she gets there, she starts to get threatening messages on her phone. There's footprints in the snow outside of her cabin. And even weirder, she finds a photo of herself as a child in an abandoned cabin. The strangest thing is, she does not remember anything from her childhood. Her first few years of life, she has no memories for some reason. But now that she's here, she's starting to piece things together, trying to figure out if she's in danger, who she really is, and has she been at Idlewood before? So I thought this one was really fun. It was like a good winter thriller because it takes place at a winter retreat. So I thought that was really fun. I remember I read it in like February trying to finish up the month. So I thought that was great. A great winter thriller, but it was kind of predictable, medium predictable. And I feel like they just kept throwing in plot twists that didn't need to be there. I'm sorry, my air's on. I'll finish up this and then I'll pause. But they kept throwing in plot twists that did not need to be there at all. Like, I feel like at the point of like the ending of the book, I just kept expecting like, okay, yeah, sure, another twist, whatever. It wasn't even like exciting or interesting at that point. But I thought it was a fun winter thriller. I don't know that there's that many like wintry thrillers. I'm sure there are, but if you're looking for a winter thriller, I would recommend this. I thought it was fun. I thought the mystery was interesting, and yeah, I enjoyed it, but it did seem a little bit predictable, and it did seem like there's just way too much twisting and turning at the end. Okay, I'm gonna try to talk a little bit faster and a little bit less because otherwise this video is gonna go on forever. But yeah, let's keep going. Continuing with my Lynn Painter obsession, the next book I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This again is a young adult romance. It is so cute. It's between Liz and Wes. They are neighbors and they are enemies. Wes is definitely not boyfriend material. And they've known each other forever. So basically they grew up together. But one of their friends from when they were younger, Michael, he moves back to town and Liz has a huge crush on him. So Wes helps Liz basically get Michael. And they scheme to help Liz get that magical prom moment with Michael. But Liz actually enjoys being around Wes. And she realizes that maybe what she thought of him wasn't actually accurate. This book is so cute. I love them. Again, I was giggling and kicking my feet basically. I mean, it wasn't actually kicking my feet, but like I was giggling and I was having such a good time. I remember my partner, he was playing video games while I was reading this and I was giggling. He kept looking at me like, why are you laughing? Who's making you giggle like that? And basically I'm like, well, Lynn Painter is. Wes and Liz are. That's who, okay? So it was so sweet. Wes is like one of my top 10 book boyfriends. I absolutely love him and it was really good. I recommend this book for anyone who likes romances. It is a young adult romance again, so not spicy, but really sweet, really cute, and not too bad of like drama or dilemmas. So I really liked that. It's light and fluffy and so fun. And then I finished this book and this book happened to come out and it's nothing like the movies by Lynn Painter, which is actually the sequel to Better Than the Movies. So it continues to follow Liz and Wes and you get a lot more of their story because you didn't get too much of their story in this one. Like you did, but not really because they weren't the focus of the book. So you get a lot more of their story in this one. They are in college, they are going through some things, and that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you. But this one again, it was so cute. Like the first one was adorable and then I read the second one and I was like, this one might be better. It might be. But these books, I highly recommend them. Young adult romance, so cute, so fluffy. You can fly through them. The banter is there. It makes you giggle. It makes you swoon. I absolutely love it. And honestly, I would probably recommend these for anyone because I love them so much. Continuing with my romance trend, I decided to read The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is the first in one of her series. It's like, I don't know what it's called. Why doesn't it tell me what it's called? Can't tell you what it's called because I don't remember. The Graham Effect. This one follows Gigi Graham. She plays hockey. And Ryder, who also plays hockey. They are enemies. They are from enemy schools, but the male hockey team had to merge with the enemy school. So now her and him are at the same school. They team up together to basically get what they want to go for their goals. and it's spicy, it's sweet. I really enjoyed it. I definitely say this is an adult romance, so if you're looking for more spice, but you still want it to be like medium fluffy, and it's a college romance, like they're in college, so it's not anything too crazy serious or anything like that. They're hockey players, so it is a sports romance, so if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely recommend it. I enjoyed it, and I plan on reading the other ones in the series. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I do say that I feel like it was a little bit long. I think like romance novels that pass 350, 400 pages, they just drag on for me. Could have been a little bit shorter. That's my only opinion about this one. Not my only opinion, but like my opinion. Only my opinion about that. That's what I meant to say. Grammar, huh? After that, I decided to read 9 Month Contract by Amy Dawes. This is the first in a series. It is the Mountain Men Matchmaker series, and it is really, really cute. It is really, really sweet. It was so much spicier than I anticipated, and I liked it so much more than I thought. So this one, the top of the book is a cute little help wanted, and it says, help wanted, grumpy mountain man seeks baby mama. Job is an incubator position only. Surrogate must be impervious to grunting as a form of communication and nosy brotherly neighbors. A rustic mountain range housing available upon request. So it's about our male main character. He wants to have a baby. Our female main character, she needs money for her dreams, so she tries to be the surrogate for a main male character, lives on his farm with him and his brothers, and I mean not his farm, like his mountain, and his brothers, and they get under each other's skin and romance occurs, and it was really, really good. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a really fast read. I really enjoyed it. It was decently spicy. It wasn't like overly spicy, but it was decently spicy. I was not expecting it to be as spicy as it was, but it was decently spicy, and I feel like the only issue with this one for me was like the drama that occurred. Like if they just communicated better, it probably wouldn't have happened like that, but it wasn't too bad and it wasn't terrible, and like the third act issue wasn't too bad. I don't like necessarily romance books that like are devastating in the third act. Like sometimes I want them to be light and fluffy and just a good read, and it was just that, and I really liked it. The next book in this series has come out, so I do own it and I will be reading it soon. After that, my romance like binge kind of ended, and I decided to kind of swap a little bit. Kind of. So the next one I read was The Island by Natasha Preston. This is like a mystery thriller. It is about an island that an amusement park is going to be open on. So a billionaire, he plans to open this amusement park on an island, and before opening he invites some influencers there to vlog and create content about it, basically to market it. So our main character, she is one of those influencers. She goes to this island and people start getting unalived while they're there. So it's basically a murder mystery where she's trying to figure out what's happening. She's trying to stay alive, and she's trying to just make it through this weekend on this island so that she can escape and get home safely. And I enjoyed it. I saw most of the twists and most of like the things coming. I will say that like there's one twist that I was a little bit surprised about, but for the most part I kind of saw a lot of it coming, and I was kind of like to the point where I was like, I just want to get through this. I thought it was going to be a lot more exciting than it was. It was a little bit predictable, like I said, and just not as great as I thought it was going to be. Someone kind of made a comment to me that it was like Scooby-Doo, and I was like, it is kind of like a Scooby-Doo mystery. I would agree, and the ending kind of frustrated me. I think some people, certain readers, will enjoy the ending a lot, but to me it was just kind of like, man, not what I wanted. But I liked it. I think it was a fun thriller. It was really short and it was kind of fluffy. It was a really easy read, and I think it would be a fun thriller for maybe like a vacation or summertime, maybe by the pool. Just something if you want it light and fluffy but you want it to be like a mystery. I would recommend it for that. After that, I read Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This is, I will say, this is a romance. I said I was off my romance binge. This is a romance, but it is a dark romance. It is about our female main character. Her dad sells her to a mafia family, and so in order to pay off his debts, and so they come to collect their debt, and they take her and they force her to live with them. And basically it says that she's trapped in their penthouse and she is their toy to play with and discarded whenever they see, but the Vipers have no idea who they're dealing with and intend to take advantage of the hunger in their eyes. So this is a very spicy mafia romance. It's like a why choose, I guess I would say, a why choose mafia romance. Very spicy. I enjoyed it. It was kind of long. Again, I feel like it was too long in my opinion. It could have been a bit shorter because it kind of dragged for some of it. but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the drama in it and the romances. I enjoyed the different characters and the relationships, and yeah, I thought it was fun. It definitely was like a spicy mafia kind of romance, so if you're looking for a dark romance, I would recommend this. After that, I got into a bit of a fantasy-ish binge, so I read Our Infinite Fates. I love these gold edges, but Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. This is a young adult romantasy. It is about Evelyn. She is a soul who keeps on being reincarnated, and she can remember every single one of her past lives, and every single one before her 18th birthday. She is murdered by Arden, who is also a supernatural being who is linked to her soul. The only issue is she can't remember why. In this life, she really likes it. She loves her family. She wants to help save her sister, and she's trying her hardest to stay alive past her 18th birthday to ensure this happens and to avoid another life cycle with Arden. She's trying to break the cycle, basically. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed that you were leaping between present day, and then you would leap back to a past life, and then present day, and then a past life, and I really liked seeing all those past lives. I will say I wish I had seen a little bit more of the past lives. Like, since this was a standalone young adult fantasy novel, I feel like they just didn't have enough pages in the story to give you more during those past lives. But I do really wish that more happened during those past lives, because I feel like I just wanted more. Like, I feel like it would have been a lot more interesting to kind of see their connection grow in the past lives and to understand everything that they've been through together. And I really enjoyed that. But I did enjoy the story, and I thought that it was interesting. I thought that it was fun. I thought that it was great. I would recommend this for anyone who likes romance. I mean, for anyone who likes fantasy books. It's definitely a young adult fantasy, so it's not like that deep or heavy or dense. It's a little bit of a lighter fantasy, and it's a little bit like less world building, that kind of stuff, and more just like characters and that. But I thought it was fun, and I thought the storyline was really interesting. Following that, I picked up A Harvest of Hearts by Andrea Iemes, maybe, perhaps. This is another fantasy book. In this book, magic workers come to town. They harvest human hearts to use in order for their spells, basically. And that's the whole premise of this book, is the magic workers use human hearts, a harvest of hearts, in order to fuel their spells, which they use to help keep the kingdom safe. Now, when a sorcerer comes into town, he accidentally snags the heart of our female main character, so she follows him back into the city, the grand city, and into his house to try and steal her heart back, and she learns all about it. Sylvester, he's the sorcerer. He is not what she expected, and he even has a talking cat who I absolutely love. Favorite character right there. Talking cat. Yes, absolutely. But we love the talking cat. But yeah, Sylvester is not what she anticipated, and she ends up in a big kind of, honestly, a big adventure. I really like this. I thought it was fun. It's, again, a standalone fantasy novel. This one is an adult standalone fantasy novel. It's not very spicy, but I liked the world building. It wasn't like hugely dense in world building. It's like you get a little bit, then you can kind of just move on with the storyline. So if you like light world building, this is great for that. I really enjoyed the storyline of it. I liked the main characters. I liked the romance, and I liked, obviously, like I said, I liked the talking cat. I thought it was interesting, the different places the story took us and how everything kind of tied up, and I enjoyed that. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I would definitely recommend this if you like fantasy books, especially if you like a little bit of lighter fantasy. It's not necessarily like a cozy fantasy, but it's borderline cozy fantasy, I would say. Yeah, I'd say borderline cozy fantasy, just standalone, and yeah, I definitely recommend. Following that, I read The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This one is contemporary fantasy? I have no idea how to classify it, but it's about 3 different women in 3 different timelines. It's in 2019. It's about Lucy. She awakens and she is strangling her ex-lover, so she flees her college to go to the Australian coast in search of her sister, but when she gets to her sister's house, her sister's nowhere to be found. It also follows a storyline in 1999 of Jess, who is a 16-year-old girl, and she lives in a rural town in the middle of the continent. She is allergic to water, and she's always felt different, but a teacher takes an interest in her, and things kind of start happening. And then it also follows a storyline in 1800 of 2 twin sisters, Mary and Eliza. They are torn from their home in Ireland and forced onto a convict ship over to Australia because they committed a crime, and they have feared the ocean ever since their mother drowned. But as they're on the ship, they feel the waters start calling to them. and this is a very big female feminine book. It's all about strong female characters, and it's about sirens, and I thought it was really interesting. I really like Amelia Hart and how she writes stories that have different stories from different timelines, but then they all interweave together, and by the end you can see how they are all interconnected. I really like this. I think this is a fun read for like summertime because it is about sirens and water and Australia and has a big focus on that kind of stuff, and I think that, to me, that just screams summertime. I really like this book. I would definitely recommend it if you like female stories like with strong female characters, stories with different timelines interweave together, and stories that like are a little bit like magical fantasy, but for the most part they're set in like reality. Following that, I was like, I need a good thriller, so I read You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I was so excited for this book. It is about our female main character. She works in New York, but she's overworked, so she books an Airbnb in a ranch in the middle of Wyoming. When she gets there, it is idyllic, and the Airbnb owner, Calvin, he's hot, he's eagerly pleased, and he wants to hang out with her. So everything is going great until things start to get a little bit suspicious. There was a missing woman, there's no cell service, and there's just a feeling in our main character's gut that something's not right. However, she decides to stay. She decides to keep her trip going, and then she starts kind of digging into all the lies that are going on. And yeah, I thought this book was fun. I thought the premise was so great, but I did not enjoy how it was carried out. I feel like the author just tried to throw a lot of like shocking farm life stuff at you to make it seem like a thriller, but it was just like shocking farm life stuff, and it wasn't what I was looking for. There was romance in it that just felt kind of forced and weird, and the twist at the end, okay, it was medium. I'd say it was medium. Like, kind of saw it coming, kind of didn't, kind of liked it. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but I don't know. Would I recommend this book? Maybe. If you want a thriller like this, maybe. But I was disappointed. I thought it would be great for summertime because it's like about Airbnb and time on a ranch, which I thought that was a fun time to read it, and I would agree with that. But just like I said, I was just kind of disappointed. I thought the storyline was so great, and I was just left wanting so much more than this book actually gave me, which sucks, but it was okay. It was alright. We will get this done before my air turns on again, okay? We're going to. It's really hard because it's literally 93 degrees outside today. So it's a scorcher out there. So of course my air is turning on every like 20 minutes. But we're going to get this done as much as we can. So next I read a series. So it's actually a trilogy. It was the Prison Healer trilogy. So we have The Prison Healer, we have The Gilded Cage, and we have The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni. This was such a good trilogy. I absolutely loved this trilogy. My sister got it for me for my birthday because she said I had to read it, and she was completely right. This is basically a 5-star trilogy for me. It is a young adult fantasy, and it's really good. It starts book 1, The Prison Healer. Our main character, Kiva, she is in prison since she was young, and she is the prison healer, and something happens where the rebel queen is brought into the prison infirmary, and she has to try to heal her, but she's going to have to undertake the trial by ordeals, and she is too sick to do it, so Kiva stands in and decides to be her champion. So she's trying to go through these trial by ordeals. Meanwhile, she's trying to figure out a plague that is going through the prison, and she's trying to deal with this new man who has recently come in, who's trying to be her friend and maybe more, and she's not about that. So that is the first book, and then the series kind of goes from there. And I really enjoyed this series because every single book you get something that's a little bit different, but like it carries the storyline along really well. So you get like different locations, but they introduce new characters, but you get all of your favorite characters for the most part throughout it, and I really enjoyed it. So many of the characters were so lovable, and I liked them so much, and the romance was there. I will say that the romance really kind of picked up in the third book, but there was definitely good romance, there was definitely good like drama and dilemmas, there was family drama, and I really liked it. So if you're looking for a fantasy series that's not like crazy heavy because it's young adult, it's not too spicy or anything, there's really not much spice at all. If you're looking for something like that, I highly recommend this series. Honestly, I recommend it to basically anyone, but I definitely recommend this series if you're looking for something like that. After that, I was like, okay, I need something fun, so I decided to read Problematic Summer Romance by Allie Hazelwood. This is a fun summer romance. It is like an age gap romance, and I loved it. I thought it was such a fun read. I read it in like one weekend. I kind of just couldn't put it down, and it was so fast. It is between our two main characters. They have a problematic summer romance. They're stuck together in Italy at our female main character's brother's wedding. The male main character is a friend of the brother, and they've kind of been circling each other for several years, and they finally stuck together in this place for a week, and everything kind of just comes to a head, and it's just so good. It's such a fun romance. I really liked it. I think it was done well. It's like medium spicy, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this for a fun summer romance read. It was so good. Following that, I started my summer reading challenge. So I started reading some books that I had to pick mystery wrapped behind me. So the first book I got was The Bride Test by Helen Wang. This is a romance novel. It is from 2019. It is about our female main character. She lives in Vietnam, and a woman comes and makes a deal with her to come over to America for the summer to try and get her autistic son to fall in love with her and marry her. And she takes up the deal. She goes over to America, and there's a romance, and it is such a sweet romance. I love the autistic representation. I love the Vietnamese representation. I love how you got to see the contrast in culture between a woman who grew up in Vietnam versus a man who is Vietnamese, but he grew up in American, so he's Vietnamese American, and how completely different they were. I really enjoyed that, and I thought this was such a sweet and cute book. So if you're looking for a fun, fluffy romance and you like different cultures, or who knows, you could be Vietnamese, but if you like learning about different cultures and that kind of stuff, I highly recommend this. Following that, I read Caught Up by Navessa Allen. This is the second to Lights Out, which is a dark romance. This one I liked, but not as much as I liked Lights Out. This one follows Junior. He is in the mafia, but he is hoping to get out. And Lauren, who is an online girl who knows Junior from when they were young, they kind of reconnect and romance starts to fly, and I thought it was really cute. I liked the storyline. I loved the love story, but I was kind of hoping there was going to be a little bit more to it. But I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the plot, and I would highly recommend this for anyone who likes dark romance. It was definitely good. After that, I read A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang. This was another part of my summer reading challenge. This is a book based off of a Chinese legend of Zixi. She is out of this world beautiful. So our main character is based off Zixi. That's actually her name. And she is found by one of her king's generals. Young military advisor finds her and asks her if she wants to be trained up to go to the enemy king to seduce him, to marry him, and then to kill him. So she says yes. So she goes with Fan Li, the military advisor. She gets trained up to seduce and kill the enemy king, and then she's sent over to that kingdom to do just that. But the issue is the enemy king is much younger and much different than she expected, and so she starts to have dilemmas. I loved the storyline of this book. I loved the characters. I loved the characters so much, and the ending was so tragic. Oh my gosh, the ending was so tragic. Like, I think it's because it's based off a Chinese legend. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. The author just wanted to break my heart because the ending of this book was so tragic. It was good, but oh my gosh, it kind of broke my heart, and it left me kind of unsatisfied because I just wanted something to happen so bad. And like, you don't really get it. You don't. You almost get it. You kind of get it, but you don't. And oh, I did like this book. I love the Chinese culture. I love the different like legend of it that like had the Chinese legend in it, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters a lot, and I thought it was really fun for a standalone fantasy novel. But again, prepare to have your heart broken at the tragedy of the ending. My next summer reading challenge book was a nonfiction book, and I got Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. It's so shiny, it's hard to show. This is Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. This is his autobiography, and I really enjoyed it. It was actually, for an autobiography, it was such a page turner, and I like didn't want to put it down. I wanted to keep reading, so I read it really fast. It's really interesting. It follows his youth and how he gets into acting. It follows his time on the Harry Potter movies and the different actors that he got to know and the different people who worked on the films and the different way it affected him. And it goes a good chunk into the Harry Potter movies, and then it goes into his life after the Harry Potter movies and what he's done since and everything that he's had to deal with because of it and just because of life and genetics and everything. And I thought it was really interesting. It was a really fun balance between talking about like actor life and the Harry Potter world and mental health and coming of age and growing up, and I thought it was really interesting and fun. And I do actually recommend this book to pretty much anyone. If you liked Harry Potter, definitely read it. If you like autobiographies, of course. If you like actors, it gives some good insight into that kind of stuff. And yeah, I thought it was a really good read. Following this, I read The Coziest Fantasy. It is A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by J. Penner. This is such a cute, cozy fantasy. It follows our main character. She is a human and she is a baker, but she struggles because she is a human baker. Most people in her world have magic, but she is getting by until her orc neighbor decides to enter her into an elvish baking contest, which humans are allowed, technically, but they've never won. So she decides to go to this baking contest with the help of one of the elvish baking, like he's a contest member. He comes and convinces her to go. A very attractive woodland elf comes and convinces her to go, and she makes her way there, and she competes in the challenge, and she makes friends, and she deals with the fact that she's a human and non-magical in a very magical world, and the haughtiness of the elves. And it's really fun. It's really cozy. There's drama, but it's not like overly dramatic, and I really enjoyed it. I think this would be a great read for fall, but I also think it would be great at any point. But I thought it was so great. And then a couple of the characters, like the side characters, I know they have spin-off novels that go with it. I don't have them yet, but I do plan to read them, so I would highly recommend this book. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it for anyone who likes fantasy, cozy fantasy, just fun, like baking. It reminded me of Great British Bake Off, so really liked it. Okay friends, we only have a few books left. So after that, I read Everything We Didn't Say by Nicole Bart. This was another summer reading challenge book. It was from 2021, and it is a mystery thriller. I thought I was really gonna like it because the premise of the storyline is great. It's about a woman who, when she was younger, her neighbors were unalived, and the prime suspect was her brother, but he never actually got convicted. Now, we don't know what happened, but for some reason she moved away. But now in this story, it's 14 years later, and she's back in town to reconnect with her daughter, to help one of her friends, and to kind of figure out what happened back then, because things are kind of happening again, and a podcaster is sticking their nose in it. And I thought that was such a fun premise, and I really enjoyed the idea of it. I started reading it, and there's no trigger warning. And I think there should have been a trigger warning, because there are dogs that get poisoned, and it happened twice. And at that point I was like, I don't want to read this anymore because it's going to be such a huge part of the story. I don't want to read about that. I just didn't. So I skimmed the middle of it, and then I read the end because I was curious about what was going to happen. And I will say it's predictable. I predicted how the end was going to happen. I predicted what like the issue was going to be that brought up and I did think it was good. I thought it was fun that it jumped between timelines. I love when things jump between timelines, between past and present. I think that's really interesting. I think the premise of the storyline was fun, and that like it was just like an interesting idea for a plot line. But like I said, it was kind of predictable to me, and I feel like I didn't like that trigger at all. It ruined it for me. But yeah, if you like mystery thrillers and that trigger doesn't bother you, maybe give it a read. Following that, I needed something a little bit different, and I was like, I have Kindle Unlimited. I'm gonna whip out my old Kindle. So I whipped out my own Kindle, and I read Dear Reader by Tate James. I'm gonna pull it up while I talk about it. Dear Reader by Tate James. It is a like mystery thriller, why choose romance. It was definitely like an interesting combo, but it's about our female main character. She goes to college to get her master's, and she goes on scholarship, and she goes to the same place that her annoying new stepbrother goes, and all of his annoying friends, and they're in this Devil's Backbone Society that she is now kind of being forced into being part of. And she has drama with the brother and the friends, and she has romances with the friends, and it's really quite interesting. It's a really fast read, and I enjoyed that about it. I enjoyed that I could read it, like I read it in like 2 nights, so I liked that. And I liked that the storyline and like the thriller mystery of it kind of kept me going. I didn't realize that it was the first in a trilogy, so it kind of just abruptly ended. I don't like that about my Kindle, is I can't really see how much I have left. Like I know it tells you, but like you never really know. So it kind of just like abruptly ended, and I thought the storyline had more. So I was kind of like, okay, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was okay. If you like Why Choose Romance, that's pretty spicy. It was decently spicy. And if you like mystery thrillers, I like the combo of that. I thought they were interesting. So I would say if you like that, give it a read. Following that, I read Apples Dipped in Gold by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a fairy tale retelling. It's based on several fairy tales, including like The Hand That Held the Knife and Snow White, and there's a little bit of Cinderella in there. And it's really interesting. It's about our main character, Samara. She is left under the care of her mean older brothers until a prince stumbles upon her in the woods and asks for her hand in marriage. Now, as she's going away with this prince to go and get married, their carriage is attacked by thieves and he is killed, but she gets away only because a handsome elvish elvish prince saves her. Now, this elvish prince has actually been in love with her for 7 years and has been waiting for her, so she has to help him. So in order to thank him for saving his life, she agrees to help him and spend 7 days with him, going on this quest to try and help him achieve this goal because he thinks he's cursed and he wants to be uncursed. And yeah, I thought it was decently good. I think it's a fun fairy tale romance retelling. It's pretty short, so you can read it pretty fast, and I liked that. It was like not too spicy. It's a little spicy, but not towards like the end of the book, I would say. So there's spice, but not towards like the later half of the book. But I enjoyed it, and I liked that it was a fairy tale retelling and it was a little bit of a lighter like fantasy romance read. So if you like that and if you like fairy tales, I would suggest this. After that, I started my fantasy duology mystery book. So the first one is The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. This is the first in a duology. I'm currently reading the second one. This one follows Alessandra. She is our female main character. She has 3 goals in life, which is to woo the Shadow King, marry him, kill him, and take his kingdom for herself. So that's basically the whole premise of the book, is she's trying to woo the Shadow King, marry him, and then take his kingdom, except as she gets to know him, she starts to care for him, and she starts to want to make sure that he stays alive because other people are trying to kill him. So she's trying to make sure that he stays alive, 1, so that she can do it herself, and 2, because she actually has come to care for him. And I really liked it. It's not too spicy. There's romance and there's some spice, but it's really not spicy at all. Towards the end, it's more spicy, but I did enjoy it. There was suggestive language, I would say, throughout, but I did enjoy the book. I enjoyed the fantasy part of it. I enjoyed the magic part of it, and I thought it was fun. It's not too long. It's only 330 pages, so it's a shorter fantasy book, which I really liked. The world building was there, but it wasn't too deep or too expansive, which I thought was interesting. It takes place in the time of like royal balls and stuff, so I really liked that part of it. I thought that was really, really fun. So yeah, if you like royal ball stuff and you like princes and you like fantasy and romance, I would highly recommend this one. The next one follows her sister. I'm currently a third of the way through, so that one will be in my end of the year reading wrap up. Finally, we have 2 books left. I finished 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna West. This is a nonfiction book. Again, I was reading this as my morning book. There's 101 essays in here that give different insights on different aspects of life, and I just think it's interesting. I think, honestly, anybody could benefit from this. It really helps you kind of expand your mind and look at things in different ways and maybe think of things in different ways. Some of the stuff you might know, some of the stuff might be reminders, some of the stuff might be brand new. So I would recommend that for anyone who likes, I don't want to say self-help, it's self-growth, personal growth. That's the word. I like personal growth books, and this is a great personal growth book. So if you like personal growth books, I recommend this. And then, as I mentioned, I read Watch Your Back by Tate James. This is second to Dear Reader. It just continues the storyline, so it is still a mystery, romance, thriller. Why choose? Gets a little bit spicier, gets a little bit crazier, gets a little bit confusinger. The end of the book is very what? I was kind of upset with how it ended, very upset with how it ended. But the third one comes out on Kindle Unlimited in September, so hopefully I will be able to read that. But I would say, again, if you like Why Choose, if you like mystery thrillers, give it a try. It's a really quick read, and if you read the first one and you medium liked it, I would say read the second one because it's just as good, maybe a little bit better. But yeah, those are all the books I have read this year so far. Yes, I know my air is on, so I'm just going to talk loud and I'm going to finish up really fast, friends, okay? So those are the 39 books I've read this year so far and my thoughts on them, if I recommend them, and yeah. I'll tell you my favorites really quick. The Spell Shop, my #1 favorite. I absolutely loved it. The Lynn Painter books, I really, really enjoyed. Nothing Like the Movies, Better Than the Movies, absolutely loved. I really liked, honestly, I kind of told you throughout which ones I liked, but I would say my #1 favorite was The Spell Shop, and then my least favorite was Everything We Didn't Say because of the whole trigger warning thing and how predictable it was. Honestly, a lot of the thrillers were a bit disappointing for me so far this year because they felt pretty predictable and anticlimactic. So if you have any great thriller recommendations, please give them to me because I would absolutely love them. But yeah, also I'd love to know if you guys have read any of these books, what you thought of them. Let me know your thoughts. How many books have you read this year so far, and how many are you planning to read? My goal was 50, but since I'm only 11 away, I'm probably going to blow way past that goal. Hopefully I blow way past that goal, right? But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I am so grateful that you watched this video and that you watched my mid-year reading wrap-up. I'm so excited to see what books I read for the rest of the year and to share them all with you guys. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. Live well, read books, and go discover, my friends. Bye. Whew. Sorry it's so long, friends, but that's the wrap-up.